Youngest on the panel, founded your company in 2004, didn't go to university, which applies to a lot of us over here in the Orthodox Jewish community. Does not stop you from being a success story. I think you've had a killer year. I think you've done total close to $6 billion in transactions. You bought $3.4 billion this year, sold $2.4 billion this year, raised over $3 billion in equity. So a round of applause for this fantastic panel. Thank you very much for joining us. Pat, as I said earlier, you put out close to over $3 billion this year. So what have you've just gone out there and just splashed the cash and bought these loads of properties? What's been your thought process behind going and buying all these properties?
Kind of like Joe said. I mean, you have to pick, fundamentally where the people are moving, where the jobs are going. What you said about going up to New York, when I started doing this in 2010, I looked like a redneck in a pickup truck talking about Atlanta, Georgia, Texas, all this stuff. Now these markets are all in vogue. So it's identifying markets that you either own or operate in, that the wind's behind your back. And then it's, back to what Joe said, a lot of times, a guy like me will buy a deal, cap rates compress, and my equity partner says, let's sell. And we haven't finished the renovation or anything. So a lot of times you can buy from guys that know what they're doing, but they're selling with meat on the bone, So it's really finding something where you believe you can create value above whatever the market's going to do, but also identifying the right market.
What tells you it's time for me to offload? Is it just that the market is so crazy right now and it's a great opportunity? What is the factor? What is your thinking when it comes to you selling? And you've been selling a good amount. You've been buying a good amount, but you've been selling a good amount. What determines why you sell something and when? Give us the insight into that decision making.
Yeah, I think initially it's aversion to risk. You watch this market run up. In 2019, I was selling a lot too. I thought this is run too long. So 2 years later, it's I don't know when it's going to end, but it's going to end. So it always feels good to sell, build up liquidity, things like that. So that's kind of, I think, drives our selling. Initially we started out kind of pruning the portfolio. We wanted to get rid of older assets and kind of upgrade the portfolio. But really, if we finish the business plan, if it's a 3 to 5 year hold, we're not looking to go and renovate the property again. It's generally a good time for us to exit. And then we target 2x on equity. So if we can run the numbers and hit our returns, it's always good giving capital back to investors.
And you said the GP is not bad either.
Yeah, the GP is not bad at all.
The GP is not bad either.
Oh no, I do it for the promote. Let's not, yeah, I like cash. Yeah, the debt funds are a phenom right now. I mean, you have to kind of be in business, with them to get the proceeds, with these cap rates. So they're more willing to look at future, rents and kind of pro forma out, and they've made the right bet. Freddie and Fannie are kind of missing the boat. We love doing business with them. We just did a Freddie execution, but it was a lower leverage deal. So I think as you have to, compete in this market and believe in the future, rent growth, you really need to line up with those debt funds. There's just so many of them. We're trying to pick a handful of them and do a ton of business with just 3. But yeah, you kind of have to play with them right now.
And they could be around for a while, these debt funds. I can't see Blackstone, KKR, Ares anytime soon exiting this picture. So you've got this glut of fantastic cheap debt that will go super high leverage. And what are they saying? They're saying cap rates be damned. I'm just going to underwrite to your business plan. Do you think it's their entrepreneurial spirit, their understanding of the business that's helping them underwrite? While Freddie and Fannie, big, huge government institutions who are stuck with the DSCR, and is that what you think it is?
It's a little of that. They have so much capital to put out there, and they're going to put it out. These guys are business people. They're getting paid a lot more than the agencies, and they're motivated to put that capital to work. So I think, look, the Blackstones of the world, KKRs, they're making a bet. They see the market. They feel comfortable kind of lending on forward-looking rents. The agencies don't really need to take that risk. They're fine. They'll always be there. But yeah, the debt funds are equally as aggressive as buyers these days.
And many of them are buyers. Blackstone has a huge portfolio. Brookfield has a huge portfolio. So they are, many times you're bidding against the guys you'll ultimately take debt from. It's very bizarre.
I remember when COVID hit, I was sitting up in New York, and literally we were having calls with our lenders, and they were talking about sending out forbearance and everything like that. I thought everybody was going to stop paying rent, and we were all screwed. And it the opposite happened, thank God. But no,
They paid more rent.
Right.
They said, I want to live in a nicer place. I got to step from home. Let me go upgrade my apartment. So it just was a boon to you guys.
but yeah, but it really was. They were sending out letters. CBRE, our other debt brokers were saying, look, here's the process for basically giving back properties, and that wasn't that long ago.
At your Carroll communities, that's pushing revenue, keeping tenants. Tell us your secret sauce.
Yeah, I think it's keeping motivated employee base, which is harder now probably than ever. But we try to pick the right people. We set our standards high. We say we want excellence. We don't want just good enough. I tell on-site managers, our equity partners can come buy these properties at any time. So I want everybody to look the part. I want the properties to look great. And then we don't micromanage. I mean, I certainly don't micromanage from the top of the company. But we really give them a lot of flexibility to make their communities their communities. So if it's a local Houston property, they're going to have they're going to have a barbecue on Fridays or something to try to incorporate, a sense of community at these properties. And we encourage that kind of thing. We do a good job, I think, branding the assets, branding the company. I think that all kind of, gives a sense of ownership and a sense of pride. And I'll just fire them, if they don't do the right job. So, that's a motivator too,
And pushing revenues, do you find that having that community, can you upcharge, can you push rents, or is that just a factor of the market? Or are there things that you can do on your properties that give you the ability? I know when we underwrite properties, we see a lot of people doing the wireless bundles, the TV bundles, the internet bundles. They charge for that. Pet fees, late fees over late fees, pet removal fees, trash removal fees, car parking fees. Is that just something you can do naturally, or do you have to provide something in order to be able to push those numbers?
We do renters insurance. We do all those things. We try to make as much money as we possibly can. You do have to deliver value, and so I think, everything you just mentioned, it's essentially how can we go and scale and buy and then offer maybe a better deal to the resident, So they are getting value for it. It's a profit center for us. But yeah, you definitely have to deliver value for what you're doing. And I think the best way to push revenue is we all use, rent software that, tells us when to raise rents and how much we can. But I think it's really having people that understand the markets, they understand, how far they can push and how tight the market is. I was one of those young guys, and I was picking your brain. I'm sure I know I picked your brain, and your brain, and your brain. So, and yeah, but it really is, and it's hard it takes time, it takes effort to meet with people and, have them, ask you, frankly, stupid questions sometimes, and, but that's really how I learned the business. So I spend a good amount of time doing that as well. I think it's huge. And I just feel extremely fortunate. I mean, these guys all belong up here. I got lucky, and so,
Such thing as luck.
I give to 250 charities, annually. One of the big things I did was my high school I went to. I've helped them kind of rebuild their campus. And really I focus on in the Boys and Girls Club. I grew up playing basketball at the Boys and Girls Club in Tampa Bay. I'm on the board there. And I meet with and kind of talk about entrepreneurship and things like that. But, there's not many charities I say no to. But, things that are centered around, the youth, right? Like, 10 years from now, if we're not involved in helping the youth, we're all going to be, screwed. So it's a good investment as well, But yeah, happy to give back.